Hi all, Jin here, and this is not going to be my typical how-to video, but I felt I just had to finally do this video, how to manage your resources. I'll just put it to the tune of my cam pools and lightning massacring of his chaos and challenge quests, just for you to have something to watch. Small disclaimer, I was just pulling on Cam's banner to free up some ticket space to get time-limited tickets from the shop, and have another chance at Lightning's BT. Otherwise, I was okay skipping too. And full disclosure regarding this vid, it includes a big rant of mine in the beginning, so bear with me please, but timestamps will be in the description and pinned comment if you want to just skip the rant and go straight to the advice section. I've actually helped a few people personally with resource advice, and I figure I might as well share it to everyone now in case it might help some more people to not be at the mercy of RNG too much. A couple of these people used to live by the 0 ticket, 0 gem life while pooling every 5k gems they get, but after sharing with them my pool strategies and helping them implement it themselves, and a couple of them have gotten up to 500,000 gems with hundreds of tickets to spare as well now. So I know this is starting to sound like some stupid infomercial, but seriously, it works, and I'm not asking you to pay me money for this advice either. And you don't have to take it if you don't want to. I know plenty of people who live by similar pool strategies though and have way more resources than I do, so definitely works, and there's more hoarders out there than you think, and some of them don't even have that great of ticket luck but still hold on to their gems for dear life. I'd like to say I live the more casual hoarding style in the sense that I just save to make sure I have a good chance to pull what I want and a 100% chance to pull my favorites. So if you're interested, then I'd like to share those tips for those interested. Okay, so this video idea came about shortly after releasing my Lightning LDBT pool battle with Soul DFFOO, who now currently has a cool 1.7+ million gems even after spending 65k gems to get her. And I've been bothered by a certain sentiment for a long time and wanted to rant and address this once and for all, even though I know I probably will continue to get similar comments for those who don't watch this video. But ever since I've done vids that showed my gem count, I've had to address something along the lines of, how do you have so many resources? I'm okay with this question. It's a legitimate curiosity, and the same curiosity I've had before as well when I first saw Soul Stash years ago. What bothers me, however, is often when someone else comes in with the assumption that, oh, they whale, or they get money from content creation to spend, etc. First off, nothing against whales as long as they have money for it, since gacha games survive off of them mostly for the rest of us to enjoy. And I do also buy the occasional costume to support the game also, and the $5 Moogle Pass, just because it saves a ton of time. But if you know anything about whaling, you would know that whales generally hover between 75k to 0 gems with minimal tickets because they only spend whenever they need gems and would use tickets before they use real money. No one spends money just to hoard, and no one has a huge ticket stash just so that they can spend money instead. I don't even consider myself hoarding, I'm just making sure I can pity every favorite character of mine. Secondly, I make like nothing off of my vids as a super small YouTuber with not even 3k subs to my name. And thankfully I have a real job that supports me. I do these videos because I do appreciate every one of those subs and would like to bring fun and maybe some help to those who watch my videos. So the straw that finally broke me was when I recently dispelled the notion that we whale with my collab with Soul, who has only bought 2 costumes and 1 $5 Mog Pass, but has over 1.7 million gems. So we got a couple of responses that were, well, if you're not whaling, then you must be lucky, and resource management is not a thing, and don't think you're doing anything special. That's ridiculous. One comment even went on to explain their pools as to how could one possibly resource manage such bad luck. And let's just say that those pools involve doing a lot of things that I advise people not to do, which I will go over in the advice section. But let me show you just one of those comments on my own channel in response to it. I have since deleted the comment from my channel, and so at least they can hide if they want. So the commenter goes, lol, you guys are so full of crap, as if anything other than luck makes saving that many gems possible. If you actually believe that you did something special by being lucky, you're either delusional or stupid. Okay, so my reply was, we definitely weren't trying to say we were special, and I don't normally respond to troll posts much, but I'm tired of the sentiment that we either whale or are lucky and there's no other possible explanation. That was the whole point of explaining Soul Stash in the video, and I've helped others accrue large resources just by advising and adjusting their pool strategies as well. If you don't understand the concept of saving, then you might want to learn so that you can apply it to your real life at least. You're the delusional one to think 1.8 million gems can be acquired just by being lucky. unless there was some DFFOO lottery that I missed hearing about. There is such a thing called not pulling on every banner, using tickets almost exclusively for the rest, and living with the results. And if you think we got everything we wanted with tickets or minimal gems, you're also stupid, since you have no idea how bad both our luck has been at times. I just had pool videos where I pitied VV and Kurosame back to back with no EX or LD, and specifically have a Fran EX pool video that is widely considered the worst luck of all time in the pity era. 790 tickets, no EX, then 65k gems, which definitely changed my saving and spending habits even more. Soul avoids gemming almost all banners entirely. This is only like his 7th total gemmed banners since launch, and a few of those were pities, including Arden Burst, which he mentioned pitying in this video. And tickets only a select few of them that will get him through content. So you obviously do no research or even watch this whole video prior to your stupid statement, since you clearly missed the actual conversation that disproved otherwise in this, such as Soul talking about going almost the entire beginning months off of only 3 15 CP characters. RNG always eventually settles to the average if you do anything long enough, so we couldn't have possibly went this long on luck alone. Just because you yourself don't know how to save, don't blame it on being unlucky and us being lucky. Alright, so a bit savage, maybe, but if he wasn't so rude, I would have responded politely like I do in all my other comments. Who knows if you'll even read it honestly or see this video, but thanks to the comments like that and others, this video now exists. Have I been lucky? Of course I have. Have I had absolutely trash luck? Of course I have. That's frickin' gotcha. Everyone has been lucky and unlucky at some point, and I've been on both extreme spectrums. And I only just got an LD off a free pool that I wanted. And I'm still waiting for my free burst pool that I've seen so many others get. Like, come on game, let me have it. Anyways, the main point regarding resource management, both in this game and real life, is to minimize your losses and capitalize on your investments. So that goes for tickets, ingots, armor tokens, etc. as well. You can't just spend willy-nilly and expect to be still drowning in resources. Nor expect those who have more resources than you to be whaling or luckier, since they couldn't possibly be doing anything different than you. In the end, I know there's only a small minority of trolls out there, but it's clear enough to me now that some people do not actually know the best way to manage the resources this game gives. It's definitely a super generous game, but in the end it's a gacha, and it can burn you just as easily. So for those people, I hope this video helps, and I'm ending my rant here and going to actual proper advice for those who would like to know. And those who like to live on the edge, if it is what you enjoy, then do what makes you happy. Okay, so first off, let me just give a quick review of my resources, since my gem count and ticket count currently isn't even where it could be. I am capped on tickets, so I have some in my gift box and the exchange stores. I have all these Bahamut treasures still to claim as well. Also in general, I've just been keeping unclaimed treasures so I can control my urges better. The more tickets I have, the more I'm likely to increase my cap limit on banners that have gone bad, so it's better for my mind not to see I have those tickets. Similarly, I haven't done hard mode for 2 story chapters as well. Well, I can't say similarly because it's mainly because I'm too lazy to grind it. This isn't meant to be a flex, okay, maybe a little bit, but it's just showing that I'm in no rush to spend my resources when I have excess. I don't pull hundreds of tickets on some random banner just because I'm capped. I still save them for a banner I want the weapon, but not enough to spend gems for. The more tickets you have, the less gems you feel you need to spend. But don't fall into the trap of going tickets for something you can't live without. This can lead to my Fran disaster of losing all 790 tickets and not getting even her EX, and then having to go to near pity after anyways with gems. And so after that, I've learned to just gem even if I have plenty of tickets, since I can just save the tickets for all the other banners I can walk away from. The moment something becomes a need, tickets are not the way to go. Use the only resource that is a guarantee, otherwise you risk losing the farm, or just set a ticket limit and be willing to walk away. I also adjusted my pool plans after that disaster, since I had no tickets to try to get units I wasn't gemming for, so I just completely skipped many of the next banners to start saving again. Thankfully, Diablos was right around the corner as well, which was one of the reasons I thought ticketing Fran would be a good idea in the first place to avoid cap. If you don't get lucky and get burned on a few of your planned pools, you can also adjust your plans to start saving more again. The more tickets you can save, the better chances you have at getting a lot of your wants and saving gems for those needs. And if you've seen a lot of my pool battles with gems, which is mostly the only time I spend gems, outside of like VVLD, which was a surprise, I've walked away when I got the LD and didn't keep going for the BT, except for Noctis, who was a planned pity anyways. Up until now, Noctis was my only planned pity BT, hence why I still have so little BTs at this point, only 3 total, and I'm still waiting for my favorite lightnings, since I want to see how the free and ticket pools on Reno's banner goes before I probably token her BT, because I have to make the best of my luck on getting her LD for the free If I had no patience and just kept going, I could have ended up spending 125k gems and getting tons of LD dupes on the way and totally ruining my luck stack. Or if I tokened her burst already, I might accidentally luck stack it later on Reno's banner, or I could have luck stacked it on Cam's banner and wasted essentially 45 burst tokens. It's 50, but you get 5 back for the dupe, obviously. So the biggest factor of all this is self-control, knowing what's the best way to make use of your good pools, adjusting for bad pools, knowing the units you really can't live without and which you can. And thanks to Foresight and GL, we can easily make a plan and try to stick with it. I'd suggest using the Tonberry Troupe's resource planner on their website, link in the description. I used to use it a lot in the EX Plus era, but in the LD BT era, it's a bit more variable in my plans since BTs are across multiple banners. And I've gotten used to managing my stuff anyway, so I don't bother anymore. But definitely when starting out and saving, it was a big help. If you need to rebuild the stash, you will have to skip much more units than you'd want in terms of gems, and usually use only minimal tickets if at all. And this might probably sacrifice completing some challenge quests and or Lufenias if you have some not so great luck. Fortunately for me, I had started saving as soon as Pity was announced to make sure I can get the units I wanted, but before that I did have very little gems and tickets to my name. So around during the mid to late EX and EX Plus era, it was easier to do things with different budget teams, and later I could just EX Plus who I already had and completely skip banners, and there was no such things as challenge quests, the bane of all hoarders. So there would be months I would barely pull gems at all and would just rely on tickets, which I did go through like awful stretches of across multiple banners of like 1,000 plus tickets and not getting any EX. So while everyone was counting their increasing EX tally, my tally hadn't moved like an inch for a couple months, which was rough, but I still had the units to clear content at least. Okay, so all that was my general thoughts on how I approach things based on my past experiences, but I'm going to sum up most of it into a few simple rules. The number one and most important rule: never mix gems and tickets. I mean, of course, the occasional 13 tickets or so to test the luck stack water is fine, but generally not, because that could just lead to using more tickets than you planned. Then you're not saving tickets anymore either. And definitely don't do YOLO multis with gems. If you know Inkwell from the Tonberry Troupe, we attribute this rule of not mixing to him the most, since he always repeats this mantra, and he has way more resources than I do as well, so it definitely works, my friends. If you start off with tickets, there's no guarantee, and then if you end up having to switch to gems after you lost all those tickets for nothing. At least if you started with gems, you'd have however many 100 extra tickets to your name for those other banners. Also, if you use 5k gems to YOLO multi on a banner you don't plan to pity, that's essentially 20 G tokens you're throwing away that you could have spent on a pity banner. Hence, you're having to spend an extra 20 G tokens to get to the 300 mark on your next pity. And so that's pretty much a total of 10k gems lost instead of just 5k when accounting for the loss of the 20 G tokens spent randomly. And this of course just keeps doubling the loss of gems if you do more than just one YOLO multi. 15 YOLO multis where you didn't get a weapon could have been a guaranteed weapon for quote-unquote free, essentially, if you saved all those for a pity banner. This realization was the biggest reason I stopped doing random multis. Just think of each YOLO multi as 10k gems instead of 5k gems. So, number 2, when to use gems. This should be only the case when you want to pity an LD, and that's for units you can't live without and would never be able to stop ticketing. If you're trying to rebuild or build a stash, these units should average out to be only about once a month, if that too. We get enough resources on average to be about a pity per month. Not all months do we get 75k, but months with a lot of things like summon boards, we do get more than 75k, so it does average out. Again, do not use any tickets when you use gems, and if you are low on gems, never chase or pity a BT, just hope for a random ticket or free pool luck stack on other banners, and if not, oh well. Even with my resources, I've had to live that life because chasing random BTs of non-favorites can decimate my resources in an instant. Gems are the only way to guarantee what you can get, so even if you have a lot of tickets, don't bother wasting tickets for the best case scenario of luck stacking with tickets, since it opens the worst case scenario of losing a ton of tickets and gems and losing out on those tickets you could have used for banners you don't plan to gem. I've seen tons of people have this worst case scenario, and that's when they start losing motivation in the game. And also, I highly advise always gemming the LD of the unit you want, and not like falling into the trap of, oh, I will ticket this LD and then I will gem this new LD with the burst on that weapon. If you want the unit, then you need to gem their LD since that is their most important weapon. Otherwise, if you don't gem it and you get the burst later, then you're gonna have to go back and gem it later anyways if you didn't get it with tickets. My advice is to ticket the LD of the unit you can walk away from and gem the LD banner of the unit you can't walk away from. And hopefully you get the burst on one of the banners through tickets or gems, but if you don't, go back to the original LD banner and gem until you pity the burst if you're going for pity on the burst. But that should be few and far between, especially if you're rebuilding resources. Again, I reiterate, don't chase bursts. You'll get some eventually just by luck. And if not, use your BT tokens. Alright, number 3, when to use tickets. So these are for units you really want but can live without. And set a ticket limit and follow it. This is probably the hardest, being able to walk away after spending lots of tickets and not getting the unit. I generally will walk away after 200, but if it's someone I quite like, I may go to 300 or more. It depends on my resources and my future pool plans if I still need those tickets or not. But you should walk away at some point. Usually the point is 200 for me. Don't worry about sunken cost. Better to cut losses and save tickets for being able to attempt the next banner, since the sad reality is your 300th ticket still has the same chance of getting that weapon as your first ticket did. If you constantly have tickets to try for units, then you will have much less temptation to gem also, and you gave it a fair shot to try to get the unit. And your gems can keep growing, and your ticket loss will never be disastrous either if you limit per banner. The game is generous enough to give us plenty of tickets to recoup if we don't spend too much at a time, and the rates are good enough that you'll get most of the units you try for. But just have to know that it won't be all the units you try for. If you lose too many tickets on one banner, you lose the chance to have a proper try on a different banner. Number 4, every other banner / unit you don't really care a lot for should just completely skip if you are trying to recoup resources. Throwing only a few tickets here and there to test the waters on all banners means you're not saving the tickets for the banners you like. Especially in this era, there's too many traps of getting the BT and LD early and having to chase the LD or EX, etc. And that can lead to a bunch of unplanned resources wasted. I, of course, am guilty of this as well. I'm not saying I follow all these rules all the time, but I do have the resources to be a little bit more cavalier, so to speak. Number 5, and one of probably the important one after number 1, don't have FOMO, fear of missing out. Challenge quests only give 3 tickets and a burst token, and the hardest content at the moment, Lufenia, only gives 3 tickets and high armor tokens as reward. So if you don't have a unit that fits the orb requirement, or you don't have the boosted unit, don't feel tempted to pull on the banner just for completing it, because most likely you won't use that unit much anyway since you weren't planning to pull in the first place, and that's essentially a trap of gacha. And I think DFFOO is very generous in terms of resources, and the fact that they make the hardest content not that rewarding in terms of resources given for completion is amazing. Because so if you skip the hardest content, you are not losing that much. All the main rewards are in everything else. Also, everyone eventually comes back around with their rework, new weapon, etc. So missing them the first time around isn't the end of the world. I've missed Rydia, Porum, Edge, Shadow, Yang, Irvine, etc. And I recently picked up a ton of EXs I missed just because they happen to be on the banner I'm pulling. Definitely do not pull on every banner, and don't get sucked in by seeing others posting their pools of weapons you plan to skip. The urge to pull will subside once the next banner comes out. If you follow these rules well, I think you'll start seeing the results sooner than you think. Once you hit 100k, then 200k, then 300k, etc., it gets easier and easier to want to hold on to your resources and gems. I don't think Soul DFFOO ever planned to get as many gems as he has, or save that many, but at this point he values his gems more than pretty much all weapons outside of like Lightnings and Sephiroths. And if you only have, let's say, 1 planned pity a month, you can gain gems even faster if that gem pool went better than expected. And then tickets can be recouped if you luck sack things, and the banners that go poorly, at least you don't waste too many tickets, if you have a limit. You just unfortunately do have to sometimes walk away. That's just gacha, you can't have everything. But at least you're getting your main wants almost all the time, and you're getting your needs every time. And so for gem banners, always plan for pity, and anything less is a bonus. That's why I saved all these gems I have for this current stretch of units, just to make sure I can get everyone I need. So you see me pulling a lot now, but you probably forget or don't know of all the times they completely skip units or did not pool like months at a time just save for this moment. And I also had to walk away from plenty of units, but with decent ticket management, it actually wasn't that much I missed anyhow, and then many of those units have come back to me in the end. And again, at the end of the day, play how you want and what makes you happy. If you enjoy living life on the edge and throwing whatever you have to see what sticks, more power to you. But if you're someone who has been rage pooling and not enjoying the game due to bad gacha, or someone like me who has to have their favorites, then this is what I suggest trying. It's a slow build at first, but once you get to a certain point, you will be more and more reluctant to spend your gems, and seeing it grow is just a nice and rewarding feeling in and of itself, more than pulling some random weapon here and there by accident. Which is why I'm always nervous when I gem pool, since it took a long ass time to build this, and I don't want to see it crumble, but you gotta do what you gotta do for favorites. And then that's what also irks me sometimes, when people just think that, oh, that stash is just gotten from spending money or being lucky. Like, hell no, man, I worked for this. and had to control myself and walk away from units that I really wanted just to make sure I had enough resources for future units. Alright, well, thanks everyone for watching and listening to this semi-rant, but hopefully the advice does help some people out with their resources. And then it gives you a new lease on life if you actually aren't always subject to bad gacha all the time. Many people just quit because they have a run of bad luck. But if you have enough resources, that run of bad luck will eventually turn into good luck eventually. Everything evens out. It could be a year for it to even out, but it does even out eventually. And then the feeling of just being technically able to get whoever you really need and all your favorites, it's just a nice feeling. But it does take time and sacrifice eventually to build to that. The pity system and foresight we have in this game is godsent. I do play one other gacha. I actually never really planned on playing another gacha, but I do, and it's called Tales of Cristoria. And even if I save, I don't know who's coming with no foresight. And if it's someone I want, no amount of resources is enough to guarantee I get them since they don't have pity. DFFOO is by far the best gacha game at the moment, I believe, so make the best out of it. Alright, I'm out. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.
You